Hello and welcome back to a special Thanksgiving episode of the Hesse Bros podcast. Hope you're all enjoying your turkey and your feast this weekend. Meanwhile, we've still got to talk lots of football. It's your host, Brent Hesse, joining me, younger brother Luke Hesse, and special guest are both of our younger bros, Quentin Hesse. This week, he's finally got a break from his rigorous schooling, has a chance to talk some football with us. Well, Luke and Quentin, how are you all doing on this Thanksgiving weekend? And what are you most excited about in terms of the NFL slate?
I'm doing great. It's great to have Quentin on the pod. And of course, it was a great game last weekend for the Lions, keeping the winning streak alive. And you got to be ready for some more Lions action coming in hot on Thanksgiving. Going to be a great game, probably. Lions are going to be looking nice, but it might get kind of boring towards the second half, depending on how much they destroy them by. But no matter what the case is, the Lions are rolling, and I'm ready to eat some food. How are you doing, Q?
It was a good last weekend. I am a Falcons fan, so it was good to not see them lose on Sunday. They had the bye week. So that was a plus right there. And I'm excited for Thanksgiving. Always great. Watch some football, eat some food on Thanksgiving. So yeah, doing good.
Well, let's talk about last week's game. Luke, you were in Indianapolis for what was kind of just like a calm, comfortable victory and didn't blow them out. Wasn't really close, but just kind of right in the middle. Lions roll. Chiefs, meanwhile, in a dogfight against those sneaky Panthers, but Kansas City ultimately pulls it out with a last second field goal. Mahomes cooking 3 touchdowns. He's looking pretty dope. And there were some other games that caught my eye. What were the ones that stand out to you, Luke?
Yeah, so let's just start off right there in Indy. Really the only main point I want to take away from this is something this drunk dude that was sitting right next to us that was a Lions fan kept talking about, and he was actually right about this, is that the Lions can just run the ball on third and long, and we're just getting first downs. I mean, we're trying to set up a fourth down maybe, but with the dominance of the offensive line, if they're expecting pass and the offensive line's ready to hit somebody's mouth, Gibbs makes one guy miss. Montgomery runs through somebody, and that's an easy first down. This Lions offense is tough to stop and get off the field. The Lions had 37 minutes of possession in that game, and that's tough to beat right there. If we're holding the ball, I think the Lions can beat anybody like that.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's hard to argue the Lions look like the most dominant team week to week, but we'll see once they have to step up maybe in class a little bit. You're not going to be seeing the Colts and the Jaguars in the playoffs, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not, but we'll cross that road once we get to it.
Again.
Probably my favorite game of the weekend, though, had to be that Thursday night battle Steelers versus Browns in the snow. What a classic game. And of course, Jameis Winston gets it done at the end. Quentin, how'd you feel about that game?
No, that was a great game. I was rooting for Jameis. I mean, how can you not? He's awesome. And he loved to play in snow. I loved watching him play in snow. It was a great game. I had a feeling that the Browns would keep it close, but the fact that they were able to hold on there, and that was awesome. Nick Chubb rushing that touchdown at the end. It was a great game.
I think one that was most intriguing to me was the fact that these Philadelphia Eagles took care of business in LA. Saquon Barkley, is he the favorite for MVP right now? And are the Eagles the only contender for the Lions in the NFC?
Well, I think that Saquon probably definitely needs to be put up on that tier, but it's still a quarterback award for the most part. So unless he keeps putting up 200-yard games, unless if he breaks the record for most rushing yards in a season, then I think they probably have to give it to him. But if he doesn't do that, and he just has like 100-yard games average the rest of the season, nothing super crazy, then I don't think they'll be able to give it to him. With the way Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and even Jared Goff, if the Lions keep winning and they're 16-1 with Goff playing the way he is, I'd pick him over Saquon if he doesn't break that record. What do you think, Hugh?
I think Saquon is the best running back in the league, but like you said, it's a quarterback award most of the time. But in my opinion, I think he deserves to be in that conversation, just as much as Lamar and Josh Allen. I think those are probably the top three right now. It's hard to argue though against how good Lamar is doing, because he's using his legs and throwing the ball. So that's a big thing.
Yeah, Lamar and the Ravens, they get a bounce back victory against the Chargers on Monday night. Impressive win in the Har Bowl. I like the Ravens. I like what they're cooking up. The defense is coming along just a little bit better than I might have anticipated.
They're starting to look pretty solid. And to your other point, Brent, I would maybe be worried about the Packers or the Vikings sneaking up on the Lions, but at the end of the day, we're playing them at home. We're playing the Packers next week and the Vikings at the end of the year. So as long as we take care of our business at home, it's only the Eagles really to worry about. And even then, I see them dropping at least one more game. The Lions might lose one outside of those other two games. So we should still be able to take it down, but it's tighter than you would like with the way that the lines have been so dominant. It could flip in just a couple of weeks, as we know in this league.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Going to be a close race for the playoffs once we get down to the seeding. And that's getting close. Once you get to about Thanksgiving time, you start to come into view the playoff picture, who's going to be where. And that is very exciting. Well, anything else before we move on to this full week of games?
Well, Brent, I think we got to touch on the Chiefs game. I think the Panthers gave them a run for their money. A lot of people thought that this is the worst team in the league, and here you go going up against the two-time Super Bowl champs and tying it up with 30 seconds left in the game, 2 minutes left in the game, whatever it was. Like, I don't know, Brent. The Chiefs are looking a little shaky right now. Are you still not worried at all just because they keep squeaking out these close victories?
How could the worst team in the league have been on a two-game winning streak? They hadn't lost in almost a month. Panthers are a pretty solid team, and Bryce Young having some confidence. Yeah, the defense, they gave up a lot of points for the second straight week. Not very happy with their performance. And the offensive line struggled to protect Mahomes, but there's reinforcements coming in on the way. They just signed an offensive tackle. It's going to replace Wanye Morris, left tackle DJ Humphries, a former Pro Bowler. Then on the pass rush, Ominahu's coming back. Pacheco's coming back to run the ball and stomp into the grass. And Mahomes is looking as strong as he has all season and as strong as he did at any point in the regular season last year, too, when they ended up winning the Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember that part. So, yeah, he's throwing for 3 touchdowns a game these days, connecting to receivers. Chiefs are rolling. I mean, sure. Wow, the final score is 3 points. Chiefs just wanted to let the Panthers back into the game. Panthers really never had a real shot at winning that one. It was always just, let's give the Chiefs another 2 minute drill drive, practice that, and they execute to perfection.
All right, well, we'll see if you're still as confident going through the rest of the season whenever they start to have a little bit tougher games than, a bottom five team in the league. There's no argument against
This
that.
week, I think this week they might actually be playing the worst team in the league. The Panthers are nowhere close to Desmond Ritter.
Don't get me started
Yeah,
on
Quentin.
Desmond Ritter. I mean,
Hey,
he is terrible.
on to week 13.
Let's do it.
We've got, of course, some Thanksgiving games. Hopefully, we'll have this out to you while you're enjoying your Thanksgiving games. But Lions play that early game against the Bears. Lions lost on Thanksgiving last year against the divisional opponent, even though they ended up winning the division. I could see it happening again. Bears, they're a pretty strong team. They've taken both of the other two NFC North teams to the brink in each of the last 2 weeks.
This is one of those games, especially on Thanksgiving. The Lions haven't won a Thanksgiving game in 7 years. So it's looking a little scary, but I feel like this is one of those games that it is going to be close. I was talking earlier my confidence, but I think that it might be a little bit more of a close game and hopefully something good to give everyone, around the country a good game to watch on Thanksgiving. But at the end of the day, the Lions are going to be able to pull it out. They're just too dominant on offense. And Caleb Williams, I don't know if he'll be able to absolutely tear up the Lions defense with the way that this team's been playing. I mean, we haven't let in one touchdown in the last 10 quarters. And everyone's talking about how great the Lions offense is. The defense is stepping up to another level. Aaron Glenn's probably going to be a head coach next year after he wins the Super Bowl this year. So it is going to be a good game, but that 9-10 spread that it's at right now, this might be the only time you hear me don't slam the Lions because it's probably going to be a one score game. The Lions will take it down probably 30 30 to 23, I'd say.
Dang, I did not know the Lions hated Turkey Day that much, 7 years in a row. I know they've been pretty bad, but that is certainly a stat. Well, then we'll have Giants Cowboys. That'll be perfect time to nap after a big meal. You don't have to watch Drew Lock versus Cooper Rush. And then we've got an exciting one. Tua in the cold against the Packers. Tua hates the cold, and the Dolphins hate good teams. Now they've got a real test as they try to make a run for the playoffs. Right now, the Dolphins are the first team on the outside looking in the AFC after reeling off a few wins in a row.
Yeah, the Dolphins definitely are looking better. Tua has been playing really well lately. Excited to see if he can write the narrative back against that cold weather. I mean, you think that the Packers would pretty easily win this game because the Dolphins don't play well, but I think the Dolphins might be able to turn the tide. I mean, they've been playing well. It's just we might need to look though and see how cold it will be because that's a big factor for the Dolphins.
I think it's going to be about 15 degrees for that game in Green Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be tough for them. I'm not gonna lie.
I like this one to be more of a low scoring bout. These you'll oftentimes think, Jordan Love versus Tua, all the speed on the Dolphins team. But the Dolphins defense has been playing really good as of late in this winning streak that they're on right now. And, I'm not sure how great Jordan Love's going to be able to play, a night game, cold weather. The over under right now is 48. I feel like it's going to be under that for sure. I think it'll be a close one, but Packers will probably end up getting it done. The NFC North just loves tearing through all the opponents that aren't among themselves. So I think Packers get it done in a low shootout or a low scoring matchup here.
I kind of like the Dolphins in this spot. I think I might be willing to take a chance on them, even though it goes against everything that you believe in with what the Dolphins have shown in the past. Maybe they're going to be ready to get up for a game. They know it's crucial for not just this season, but for the way that people view this team. So, in a big primetime spot with all the lights on them against a Packers team that I think has their flaws, I'll take the Dolphins in this one. Okay, then we go on to Black Friday. I'll be at Arrowhead Stadium for Raiders Chiefs. Going to be a tough divisional matchup for the Chiefs. So hopefully they can have that field goal kicker ready as time expires again this week, knock home one, and keep the Chiefs atop the AFC West. They've got a little bit of a cushion, and atop the AFC as a whole, they are still the number one seed currently in the conference.
So Brent, I'm starting to recall this game that happened on a holiday last year. You kept harking back to, how the Chiefs before they lost to the Bills hadn't lost a game. Who was that one to on that Christmas Day last year?
That was to the Raiders. Antonio
Oh.
Pierce, Max Crosby. Chiefs are going to be out looking for revenge, and there's no Aiden O'Connell to save them this season. It's going to be tough.
Well,
I
really, it
think
was just the
AOC might
defense.
actually play though.
Is he back to play? He can't come off IR, can he?
I don't know. They got his line in DraftKings right now for his passing yard, so I'm guess I just gotta slam the under and hope.
Well, if he doesn't play, I don't think that you're going to get anything off of that one. If it's Aiden O'Connell, it could be a very interesting game. Ritter doesn't look like he's worth anything, but I'm excited to see what the Chiefs can do. I'm really excited to see if Pacheco comes back and how they incorporate him with Kareem Hunt. Quentin, what do you think about this Raiders Chiefs matchup?
So this is where I'm at with it. I think if the Raiders win the turnover battle, then I think it'll be a closer game than people think. Obviously, the spread's like what 14 almost.
Yeah.
So, but the only problem with that is Desmond Ritter is very prone to turnovers. Like he cannot hold on to the ball. He'll throw it to the other team. So I think the Chiefs will blow him out in this game.
And now let's talk Chargers and Falcons. Looks like we might need to reconnect Luke at some point. Here he comes. He's coming back on. But Chargers Falcons, Q Dog. It's your team. They're on a bit of a slide. Now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're playing hot right behind them, right on their tail in the division. What do you think about this? Is this a must win for the Falcons?
It's not necessarily a must win just because we do have the head-to-head games against Tampa Bay, but if we want to really push for the end of the season, winning this division. This is a huge game for us, and it's at home. It's coming off a bye, which gives me hope because we needed that bye. I had a feeling last week they were gonna lose to the Broncos, but this week something's churning in my gut that we might get this win because this is whenever people doubt us, this is usually the time whenever we get a win. And so that's whenever I feel like we might be able to sneak out a win against Justin Herbert. My only big concerns is we still have zero pass rush. And if Justin Herbert can just sit in the pocket, he'll carve our defense up. But I'm still giving hope to Raheem Morris to be able to scheme up something after this bye week and give him a few different looks. And I think Kirk Cousins will have a bounce back game at home. I think he's going to be ready to go.
Going to be tough against that Chargers defense. They've been shutting everybody down until the Ravens game on Monday night when they gave up the highest point total they have all season under Jim Harbaugh. A lot of good matchups outside of Chiefs, Lions, and Falcons, which we got to talk to. I think the first one we have to discuss is Eagles, Ravens. The two running backs both on pace, trying to go for that 2,000-yard season, and two teams that are certainly in that Super Bowl conversation. And Baltimore 3-point favorites. What do you like in that game, Luke?
So this is one where you got to go with Lamar against the NFC. He's lost one game in his career against an NFC opponent. And so even the way the Eagles have been rolling, this is the time to go with the Ravens. I feel like 3 points though is what makes it hard because it seems like that's probably what it's going to come down to. But then again, I could easily see the Ravens getting up. You know, they usually don't start off great in these games. They usually have to come from behind. But if they can get an early lead in this game and force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball more than he'd like, maybe go away from Saquon, I could easily see this one getting out of hand for the Eagles. And I'd love that for as being a Lions fan. And I see that as being a possible route. Now, if the Eagles do get up early, I think it'll be a dogfight till the end. It'll be a great game.
Quentin, any thoughts on this one?
And I kind of tend to agree with Luke. I think obviously Lamar is amazing against NFC teams. I think that continues. I think the rosters are pretty comparable. I feel like they're both really talented, but I think Lamar is just better than Jalen Hurts. Obviously, it's going to be so much fun to watch Derrick Henry and Saquon going at it as well. So it'll be a great game. I think the Ravens will pull it out though.
Then another big game that maybe people thought could have been a Super Bowl matchup before the season, or maybe even just 2 or 3 weeks ago. 49ers at Bills, but the 49ers have fallen off a cliff. They are basically staring at their season evaporating in front of their eyes. I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to play. If you have insight on that one, please speak up. And if he doesn't play, I mean, do they have any chance? And is their season basically over?
Well, I think if he doesn't play, they have no chance. They need him for this game. That's why I think he's going to play. They know that they need this win. If they get the win, they'll still be right there in the hunt for the division. And if they go to 5-7, they're cooked. They're not making it. So they need Purdy to play. And I think they'll make it a game. You know, they have a lot of older vets, right? So they have players with experience, but maybe, you know, they don't get up for every game. They're not like they just aren't physically able to, you know, give it their all every single game like maybe a younger team could. But given this opponent, given, you know, the rest of the outlook of the season, if they lose this game, if Brock Purdy plays, I think they'll bring it to Buffalo and I think they'll make it a really good game and I could definitely see them winning this with him playing.
My big question is obviously Brock Purdy if he's playing, but also Nick Bosa because the 49ers defense last week against the Packers did not look right. Jordan Love was throwing all around the yard. Josh Jacobs ran for 3 touchdowns. Something was just off from that 49ers defense, and I think they need to get Nick Bosa back. So be looking out for that. If he's back in the game, I think they might be able to hold the Bills and keep it a close game, like you said, Luke.
Bills, maybe a letdown spot. They coming off the bye, but last game was against Kansas City. Obviously a big one. We will see. I think that could be an interesting one Sunday night if Purdy can be back there throwing the rock. Well, any other games we need to touch on? Any
Uh,
special picks you've got for this week? I'll give you one that I just have to talk about. Unfortunately, my Arizona Cardinals let me down last week against Seattle. Kyler Murray with just a brutal pick six. The offense couldn't get anything going. So now they are tied with Seattle in the standings for first place in the division. Seattle, obviously, with a tiebreaker after that win. The Cardinals have a big one against Sam Darnold and the Vikings this week. Going back to the well one more time, along with the Dolphins. My other upset pick of the week is the Cardinals on the road in Minnesota. I think that this Cardinals team, they're going to be ready to bounce back. Minnesota, they had to go to overtime last week, basically played an extra quarter on the road. That's always tough to recover from. Give me Arizona against the Vikings.
I like that pick, B Hess. I think that's one that's definitely good. And even if you don't want to go with the money line, plus 3.5, you love getting that hook if it ends up being a field game winning field goal for the Vikings. But my main bets here, sorry, I gotta go against your commies here, Brent. But I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. Plus 5.5. I feel like this is a team that's starting to get going. They had a lot of free agent acquisitions over the offseason, and everyone kind of wrote them off whenever they're 1-6. But now they're starting to look pretty good out there. And I think Will Levis is starting to play a little bit better, even though he still had a pick six last week and they won. But he's still playing better. He's getting throwing that rock around the field. And I do not like what I'm seeing from the Commanders' offense. Brian Robinson's going to be out again, and it's just not looking very good for what I'm seeing from the Commanders as of late. They're starting to fall off, and they kind of need this one to boost up their playoff chances once again. But I could easily see them falling to the Titans this week. And my other upset special is going to be the the Las Vegas Raiders. You got to bet them plus 13. That's easy. But I also think the Patriots are probably going to get it done against Indianapolis at home. That's my other upset special. I definitely go with that one. Drake May, they're coming off a bad performance against Miami, but it's a young team. They'll be able to get back in the good graces. And I was at that Colts game, and they did not look great. Anthony Richardson can't really hit very much. He's just chucking the ball downfield. So I'm going to take the Patriots in that one.
Hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, Washington, they've really let the wheels come off of that upset ride. But you got a point. Titans playing well. Just gonna have to kiss the commies goodbye for this season, I think. Are they even gonna make the playoffs as a 7 seed? Who could get sneaky and get that last NFC wildcard spot?
I have an idea. A very scary team for me, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you look at their schedule, it's a cakewalk. Their hardest game is against the Chargers. Their next hardest is, I guess you could say, the Cowboys or maybe the Panthers. I mean, it's terrible. Like, go look at their schedule. I'd be surprised if the Bucks don't get to 10 wins. I mean, and they're playing really well. Baker is playing phenomenal. I think the Bucks will slide in over the Commanders because they have the head-to-head from Week 1.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
my
good
prediction.
point. That's a good point.
I'd put my hat in the ring for the Rams. I think that the Seahawks, the Seahawks or the Cardinals, I don't know. I think one of those three is I think two of those three are going to be in, and I think the Commanders are going to fall off. I can't see the Buccaneers and Falcons. They just don't look like great teams to me. I could see the Falcons maybe falling off and not making it, the Bucks not doing it. I just don't see both those NFC South teams rolling the rest of their schedule. Whereas these teams from the West, I feel like they just have, better talent, better teams, and one of them will be able to go on a run. Two of them will be able to get into the playoffs, but that's how I see it shaking out.
Yeah, they just keep splitting against each other. That makes it challenging for those teams out west. Washington, of course, they got the Titans at home this week. Luke likes the Titans in that one. If they lose that, they're definitely in trouble because then they've got games against Philadelphia and Atlanta still on the docket. So it's going to be exciting coming down the race in the NFC. Well, we kind of talked about that. Can we talk about AFC last wild card spot real quick? It kind of feels like you've got the six teams that seem like almost auto locks at this point with Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Houston, and the Chargers. One spot left. The team in that spot right now is the Broncos at 7-5. They host the Browns on Monday night, but there are still some teams with an outside shot, including the Bengals, who host the Steelers this week, the Colts on the road at the Patriots, and those Dolphins playing Thursday night. Is it going to be Bo Nix and the Broncos holding on to that playoff spot as a rookie?
I believe so. I I mean, it might just be because I saw the Falcons absolutely get destroyed by the Broncos, but I think the Broncos defense is playing insanely well. And when you have your rookie quarterback doing that and not turning the ball over with a good defense, I mean, they're a good team. And like you saw against the Chiefs, they almost beat the Chiefs. I feel like they can beat anybody really, at least hang with them. And so I think with that good defense, they'll continue to win some games and make it the playoffs.
Yeah, kind of going off that point, I feel like the Broncos better be rooting for the Packers on Thanksgiving because if the Dolphins get this win in Lambeau, they better be on notice because I could see the Dolphins rolling the rest of their schedule. They're playing really well right now. And like I said, their defense is looking solid. So if they're able to get that win, I would not count them out for getting that last playoff spot. And I think they'd be able to do it if the Broncos lose a couple more games. And who knows? Maybe even the Chargers could fall off. They lost a tough game against the Ravens, but it's still Jim Harbaugh in his first year. The defense, it still feels like their roster isn't completely what they want it to be for the future. So maybe they could struggle down the stretch. We'll have to see, but I think watch out for those Dolphins if they get a win. If not, I feel like no one's going to be able to catch them. I don't believe in the Colts or anyone else really.
The Broncos still have some big games left. They play the Colts and the Bengals, two teams that are chasing them, along with two division teams that are ahead of them, the Chargers and the Chiefs, to close out the season. So that'll be exciting to keep an eye on those wild card races throughout the rest of the season. Well, anything else to talk about on week 13 before we take down a 12 pack?
One more thing. So one bet I would really like is bet the Seahawks to cover the spread. Uh, Last I saw, I thought it was like 1.5 points against the Jets. So I think the Seahawks are going to be locked in. They're coming off a big win against the Cardinals, two back-to-back really big wins. So I think they're going to continue the hot streak and blow out the Jets. I don't think it's going to be close. And but I'm curious. I wonder who do you all think? Brent, do you think the Cardinals will still win the division? And Luke, who do you think is going to win the division?
I have to believe in the Cardinals. They lost on the road at Seattle, so it's not like they even lost at home. They'll have a chance to split with the Seahawks in a couple of weeks. They've got obviously this tough one against the Vikings, but they've still got some easier type games against Carolina and New England left on the schedule. So yeah, I'm still putting my faith in the Cardinals. However, when it comes to the Seahawks and the Jets game, it's just so wild. I think that usually the Cowboys are the most overvalued team by the bookies, but this year it's the Jets by a mile. The fact that they were favored against the Colts 2 weeks ago in their last game was insane. Colts win that game. The Jets have been overvalued all season long. They have failed to deliver almost every single time. So yeah, don't hate that one at all. Although it is West Coast team going all the way across the country in an early window game, that's about basically the only thing that would give me pause against the Seahawks because the Jets are just not good. They seem like they want their year to be over.
Yeah, I'm probably rocking with the Rams honestly to win that division. I think the way Stafford, can play, most experienced quarterback in that division. They have one of the best head coaches in the league, and as long as they can start getting rolling here, they had a tough game last week, but I think that they're probably the best team. They're the scariest team that I wouldn't want to play as a Lions fan. I would not want to see them in the playoffs for sure. So I think the Rams are probably going to be able to get some wins here and get it done. And I could see the Seahawks or Cardinals sneaking into that wild card. But yeah, the Seahawks, I wouldn't be mad if they made it. I feel like that would be an easy out. The way the Lions absolutely dominated them this year. So we'll have to see how it shakes out, but it's going to be interesting.
What else is going to be interesting now is us ranking the 12 best teams in the NFL. Not just us, but it's going to be Luke Hesse, his turn to take down a 12 pack. Me and Quentin can give our inputs midway through and at the end. Let me go back and give you my 12 pack from last week. I had the Lions at number one, first time all season that I had anybody besides the Chiefs atop my 12 pack. Lucas had the Lions at number one for about the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think. Bills at two, Chiefs three, Ravens four, Steelers five, Eagles six, Vikings seven, Packers eight, Cardinals nine, Commanders 10, Chargers 11, and Texans 12. That was last week's by me. Now it's time for Luke to get his 12 pack going on.
All right, let's do it. I know y'all probably been eating some delicious turkey, some mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. Might be getting a little thirsty. Don't worry, I got you with the 12 pack right here. Let's get it started off with that team I was just talking about. I'm gonna put the LA Rams in here. Like I just talked about them. I think they're a good team. I think they deserve to be in here, and I feel like they're gonna be able to win the division. So as it's not about the records, not exactly. Obviously that comes into account, but how do I feel like this team's gonna has been playing and how they're gonna finish out the season? Throwing the Rams in there. Next up, I'm going with the Denver Broncos at 11. I mean, they've been playing well. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix. I feel like he should be the leader for offensive rookie of the year. With Jaden Daniels is going down, Bo Nix is going up. So I feel like by the end of the year, he could definitely be taking it down. Coming in hot at number 10 is those Miami Dolphins. I think they're a really good team. It's just going to be a tough spot here on Thanksgiving. And if they can find a way to get it done, they'll be shooting right up the 12 pack. Probably going to be one of my first choices for the 12 pack. Why not? That's a good team if they get it done. Um, Coming in next at number 9 is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers. They took a tough loss last week, but they're still a really good team. They are well coached, and I'm just excited to see what they're able to do the rest of the season. This is definitely one of the more interesting teams. Great quarterback, not sure how their weapons are going to shake out. Maybe if Quentin Johnston doesn't drop the ball 3 times and go 0 for 5 on his targets, they have a chance to win that game, but we'll never know. And yeah, I think that's a good spot for them right there. Coming in next, number 8, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team that's been playing well. I feel like you can't count them out with Tomlin, and this might be the best quarterback he's had with him in quite some time, maybe even since Roethlisberger. So Russell Wilson's playing well. You got to give them a chance to make it far in the playoffs. Coming in here at number 6 and 7, I got the two other teams from the NFC North. Number 7 is going to be the Packers, though. I think the Vikings are just slightly ahead of them. I could easily see this flip flopping though, with one game this way, one game that way. Two very evenly matched teams, and teams no one's going to want to see in the playoffs. That's for sure. And that means coming in at number 6 is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. And so, how do y'all feel about my 12 pack so far? I'll save the top 5 for after we hear your thoughts on those.
Oh, it just started off extremely gross. I mean, just did not taste good at all. The Los Angeles Rams, you elevate them. This is a team that has never been in a 12 pack all season, and you're like, wow, you got blown out at home. Let's put you in the top 12. That's really, really showcasing a lot. I mean, come on. My Arizona Cardinals, you've had them in the 12 pack before. Let's see, what do? They lose against a team that's atop their division on the road, they drop out. Then there's a team that loses at home against a team that's atop their division by even more points. Let's move them up. I mean, makes absolutely no sense to me. The Rams don't belong anywhere on there. Broncos, they've been playing well enough. I guess I don't hate the Broncos being in the 12 pack. This is their debut, as it is for the Dolphins' debut for all three of those teams at the back end. The Dolphins and Broncos, they have a case to be made. The Rams do not. Gross.
Hey, I'm on to something. This is an experimental drink here, all right? It's gonna work. You just gotta give it some time, let it simmer for a little bit. This is gonna be a good 12 pack, trust me. What do you think, Hugh, on those 12 through 5, 12 through 6?
I don't know. It's hard for me to think that you have the Rams in over the Seahawks, who just beat the 49ers and the Cardinals. And I mean, yes, I understand that you think the Rams will win the division, but as of right now, I feel like you have to put the Seahawks in from the product they've put out. And then it's also just interesting that you put in the Dolphins as well ahead of the Broncos, because I feel like the Broncos are better than the Dolphins, so therefore they should be ahead of the Dolphins. That's my thoughts.
Well, not everyone gets to play the Falcons every week and gets to blow the brakes off of them like the Broncos did. All right, the Dolphins are out here doing good. You know, they got their defense
Against the
rolling.
Patriots, I mean, they're playing the Patriots. You can't really compare that.
The Dolphins got their defense rolling, and two is back, bro. If they had two of the whole year, they would easily be in this playoff hunt. All right, they'd be in the playoff picture right now, and so that's where I got to put them. They'd be ahead of the Broncos if they had two all year. That's where they're at right now. So that's why I'm feeling about that. But yeah,
Let's hear this top five. I think the top five is definitely, I know who they are, of course. I think everyone should know who they are, but I'm interested to see this order. Let's go ahead and break my heart.
all right, Brandon. Well, we're starting off hot with the Kansas City Chiefs at number five, right where they're supposed to be. You know, they're one of those middling teams. And I just want to preface with this: these are the five teams I think could actually win the Super Bowl. I don't think any of the teams below them really have much of a chance. It's going to come down to these five. And starting off Chiefs, you know, they still have a chance, Brent. They still have a chance, you know, top of the AFC right now, but they are not looking too great. I know you spouted off all those great players they're getting back, you know, a right tackle off the street. Oh, I'm sure he's going to be really good for you. But no, the Chiefs, you know, I feel like they deserve to be at five right now. All four of the teams ahead of them, I'd pick to win a game against them as it stands right now, and that's how I'm basing it off of. If you want to get back to me in January, if they start rolling, you know, maybe it'll be a little different, but right now that's how it sits. Coming in next, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. I got to put the Eagles below the Ravens right now. Ravens at number three just because I think the Ravens are going to be able to beat them this week. I think we're going to see it on the field, and that's who I'm going with. So, no other really way to go around that now. And of course, number two is going to be the Bills because they're not as good as the Lions. The Bills are a good team, and we're going to, you know, coming off the bye, coming off a win against Kansas City, they're going to need to continue to push that momentum. As we know, it gets real after Thanksgiving. This is the crunch time. The Bills want to be able to take that top spot from the Chiefs. They might have to win out, and they're gonna have to, you know, show the rest of the world why they need to take that top spot from the Chiefs. And of course, no one's gonna dethrone the Detroit Lions, best team in the league. You'll already know all the million reasons why.
Somebody else can go.
Well, Luke, I just have to say the 12 pack started off bad, but it started to get tasty at the end. I like that order. I'm not gonna lie. I like how you had the two NFC North teams leading up into the Chiefs and then the Birds. I think that's a perfect order, and I feel like you did a good job at the end. Good job.
Thanks, you. It means a lot talking to a brother that's really smart. You know, it's
Yeah,
nice and refreshing.
right.
It's just so typical, so expected. I mean, it's like I could read what was coming from a mile away. And it's just people are sick of the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like, oh, they'd rather, oh, why don't you just blow out, teams by 20 points and then, oh, if you happen to accidentally slip up and I don't know, maybe lose to the Steelers or lose to the Raiders or somebody like that, it's okay. Just beat everybody else by 30. No, that's not how it works. The Chiefs just get wins. It's not about style points. This is not the former BCS bowl days where you have to try to get the committee to think you're a top four team. You just beat the teams in front of you. Doesn't matter how you get it done. And that's what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing. So go ahead, put them at five when they are the two-time defending Super Bowl champions. They have the best quarterback in the game and they have the best record in the game. Just absolute nonsense. But that's what I've heard from everybody. So that's no surprise that I'm hearing it from you two clowns as well.
Well, the reason I think the Chiefs deserve to be at that spot is because of the way their defense has been playing the last couple of weeks. I mean, to let Bryce Young score 27 on you is, I mean, that's a lot of points to give to a Panthers team that really, I mean, yeah, they've been playing better, but they're not very good. So I think there's definitely some concerns on defense for the Chiefs, and that's where they hang their hat on. So I think that that's the right spot for them right now.
Boom, lock it in. Heck yeah. And I can and I will put them in number five BS because that's where they belong.
You can put them
And
wherever you
that's how
want. but that doesn't make your list right at all. I mean, Chiefs will be 11 wins next week, and the Ravens will have 5 losses, and the Eagles will have 3. We'll see about the other 2 teams ahead of them as well. But you know what? That's your prerogative. Good thing 12 pack is irrelevant when it comes to the seeding in the playoffs because all that matters is the Chiefs get the 1 seed and then they can let those Bills and Ravens, the other 2 teams you think they have a chance in the AFC, those can be the 2 and 3 seeds. And then what do you know? Kansas City just plays the winner of one of those 2 in the AFC Championship, and it's another nice little waltz to New Orleans for Kansas City.
Very possible, but we're gonna see how it shakes out. It's gonna be a great rest of the year. You want to break down your bets for the week, BS?
I like 2 underdogs, Cardinals and Dolphins. I'm excited to be at Arrowhead for Chiefs Raiders on Friday. And it's Thanksgiving weekend. That's when really the NFL season ramps up. We are getting to the playoff push. So, very exciting time. Can't wait to watch some football. And glad we got to have Q Dog join us this week on Hesse Bros.
Yep, thanks for having me. Can't wait for Thanksgiving, one of the best holidays, and yeah, it was good talking football with you guys.
Luke, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone if you want to make some money, bet the Titans this week, Raiders plus 13. I mean, it's the easiest lock. If you want to, just tease it up to like plus 7.5. We all know it's going to be a one-score game at least. That's how the Chiefs like to win, so you'll get some extra money in your pocket right there. Patriots against the Colts. I think it's time for the Patriots to bounce back here. They've been looking good up until last week, going up against the buzzsaw that is the Dolphins. And then, yeah, take the Cardinals, like Brent said. And sorry, Q, but I think it's going to be the Chargers. I think I cut out during that point, but it's going to be the Chargers. Yeah, that's all I got for you this week. Enjoy some food, enjoy some football.
That is our Thanksgiving edition. Hesse Bros, week 13. Have a great time, and we'll see you guys next week. And as always, go Chiefs.